Picture this. You're alone in a dimly lit convent with only a flickering lighter to push back the darkness. Every creak of the floorboards sets your nerves on edge. Tormented Souls 2 plunges you into that kind of heart-pounding tension from its very first moments. It's a sequel that proudly carries the torch of old-school survival horror, delivering the scares and challenge that fans of the genre crave. If you've been yearning for a game that makes you feel like it's 1998 again, in the best way, then buckle up for this review. Tormented Souls 2 picks up after the events of the first game, which was a surprise cult hit by indie developer Dual Effect. You again play as Caroline Walker, now trying to protect her sister Anna from a supernatural affliction picked up in the last adventure. The game opens with Caroline bringing Anna to a remote clinic in the misty town of Villa Hess, Chile, hoping for a cure. It doesn't take long for things to go horribly wrong. The seemingly kind nuns running the place reveal their true sinister intentions, kidnapping Anna and dragging Caroline into a fresh nightmare. Soon enough, Caroline is picking up her trusty nail gun, yes, it's back, and venturing through blood-stained halls and foggy streets in search of her sister. The story in Tormented Souls 2 leans into campy B-movie territory, and that's part of its charm. Expect occult conspiracies, over-the-top villains, and lore hidden in scattered notes. Caroline herself is tougher and more confident this time around. In a neat touch, when you save your game at tape recorders, she calmly narrates her progress, a little window into how she's coping with the insanity around her. The plot can get ridiculous, but it knows it. Rather than taking itself too seriously, the game delivers entertaining horror vibes. The narrative is there to set up creepy scenarios and twisted locations, and it does a serviceable job at that. Just don't expect profound characters or a sensible storyline. This is more midnight horror flick than prestige TV, and it totally works for the game's tone. Exploration and puzzle solving are the meat of Tormented Souls 2, much like the survival horror classics that inspired it. The game invites you to slow down and absorb every tiny detail of your surroundings as you search every room for that one key, clue, or scrap of ammo you desperately need. Every area is filled with gruesome scenery and cryptic riddles. Not everything you see can be interacted with. In fact, many eye-catching objects are just props, which can be a bit disappointing. But the important items and clues are out there, and the game rewards thorough investigation. The puzzles are cleverly woven into the environment, and solutions usually feel logical and satisfying. The key is not to overthink things. Often the item already in your hand is exactly what you need if you try using it in a clever way. A standout feature inherited from the first game is Caroline's ability to slip into the other side, a nightmarish mirror reality. In certain areas, you'll use mysterious mirrors or rituals to switch between the normal world and a twisted alternate version of it. Actions in one reality can affect the other, which leads to some of the game's most inventive puzzles. It gave me serious Silent Hill vibes in the best way. These sections are tense and often brilliant, forcing you to think 2 steps ahead as you unravel each brain teaser. The developers clearly understand atmosphere and how to keep you uneasy, yet intrigued as you unravel each brain teaser. A few puzzle solutions could use better hints, but most of the time, if you experiment and pay attention, you'll get that aha moment. Of course, it wouldn't be survival horror without some deadly monsters out for your blood. Tormented Souls 2 amps up the combat intensity from the last game. Caroline starts off with the nail gun again, and you'll acquire a few new makeshift weapons along the way. Ammo is scarce, and the creatures shambling around Villa Hess are not pushovers. Every encounter feels like a decision. Do I unload some precious nails into this abomination, try to smack it with or just turn tail and run? The enemies are grotesque, twisted things. They're faster and meaner than the foes in the first game, and some of them can cut you down in seconds if you're careless. Health items are limited too, so every hit you take is painful in more ways than one. The combat itself is clunky, in that deliberate, old-school way. If you remember the tank controls and fixed camera angles of early Resident Evil games, Tormented Souls 2 will immediately feel familiar. You can opt for a modernized control scheme, but movement is still intentionally a bit stiff to ramp up the tension. There's even a dodge roll move now, though its timing is so strict that I found it more reliable to just backpedal and kite monsters than risk a bad dodge. Melee weapons like the hammer are technically available, but honestly, they're almost useless. It takes far too many swings to put down even a weak enemy, leaving you wide open to attacks. When you die, the game's save system shows its teeth. Like the classics it emulates, Tormented Souls 2 makes you save manually using tapes, and those tapes are finite. There's no autosave fairy to bail you out in normal mode. I learned this the hard way, after dying and losing progress because I hadn't saved recently. It was infuriating in the moment, but I have to admit it also made the victories that much sweeter when I fought my way back with more savvy. This old-fashioned save system will be a love-it-or-hate-it element for players. If you're the type who thrives on edge-of-the-seat tension and can handle repeating a section until you master it, you'll appreciate the adrenaline rush it provides. Tormented Souls 2 might be an indie title, but it punches above its weight in presentation. The game has moved to Unreal Engine 5, and it shows in the richer environments and lighting. No, it's not a cutting-edge visual showcase. Some character models and textures are rough around the edges, but it nails the creepy vibe. Villa Hess provides a wider variety of locations than the first game's mansion, and each area is dripping with gloomy Gothic style. The lighting and sound design work in tandem to crank up the dread. In dark areas, your lighter small halo of light is often the only thing guiding you, and if you stay in darkness too long, an unseen terror kills you outright, so you're literally clinging to the light. This mechanic forces you to navigate carefully from one light source to another, and it's brilliantly nerve-wracking. Audio-wise, the game hits all the right notes for a horror title. The ambient sounds, distant cries, thunderclaps, the creaking of old wood kept me on edge. When a ghastly enemy is nearby, you might hear its rattling breath or the scrape of metal on tile before you see it, setting your heart racing. Performance-wise, the PC version ran smoothly for me. I didn't encounter any major glitches or crashes. There was one late-game bug with an elevator puzzle that a few players ran into, but it was nothing a reload couldn't fix. Hopefully, patches will iron out little issues like that, but otherwise, this is a relatively polished experience for an indie horror release. Tormented Souls 2 is a fierce, unflinching homage to classic survival horror that manages to stand on its own. Dual Effects set out to raise the bar with this sequel, and for the most part, they succeeded. The atmosphere is thick and chilling, the puzzles are devious, and the sense of vulnerability is real. Caroline's latest journey is one of the most satisfying horror experiences I've played in years. GameVault HQ is giving it a solid 8 out of 10. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to like the video and subscribe to GameVault HQ for more gaming reviews and horror content. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Tormented Souls 2 in the comments. Did it scare you as much as it did us? Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.